Chapter 686, Don't Listen to Them. The people outside the inn crowded together and moved back and forth. They were dressed in outlandish clothes and were bustling about. Their hairstyles were not bad. Some had dreadlocks, while some had undercuts. All of them gave off the impression that they were artists. If one did not know what was happening here, one might think that there was a concert or an art exhibition here. After a while, another wave of metahumans arrived. Some wore stilts, some were dressed as clowns, while others brought monkeys. It was as if a circus performance had just ended. Lu Shu stared helplessly at this scene. He had just gone out for a meal and this happened. Were these the metahumans from the cartel? This organization had completely upended his beliefs. The cartel was gathered here. Furthermore, the members of the cartel were usually willing to help others. Thus, members of the public who passed by were usually not afraid of them. But things were different now. A metahuman with large dreadlocks and a huge gold chain was patiently explaining to the members of the public, "Everyone, please do not worry. Please do not be afraid. They are the Black Hand. We will not cause much disturbance. We will fight them and then leave." Patrick was on the island as well, but they would probably not fight Patrick. Patrick was a Class B. If they were to fight him, the situation would escalate. Most importantly, the leader of the cartel was in northern Sardinia organizing a music festival. They had no time to deal with Patrick. Everyone was very unhappy that Patrick had come to Sardinia. But they now had the chance to capture 6 members of the Black Hand. This was very interesting. When the civilians in Sardinia heard about this, they too became very interested and did not leave. They were observers who simply wanted to watch the fight between metahumans. One person even started selling cigarettes. The members of the Black Hand and the Department of Faith Theory walked down with a cold expression on their faces. One member of the Black Hand calmly said, "Since when did the cartel start a fight out of their own initiative?" "A fight?" Someone replied, "This is not a fight. We just wanted to beat you up." "Why did you want to fight this lady's son?" The metahuman from the cartel pointed at the lady behind him. The sturdy metahuman hesitated. "Since when did I want to fight him? I don't have such a hobby." The lady was also put in a difficult situation that she could not escape from. At first, she had only wanted to call a few people over to scare the Black Hand. But she did not expect so many people to come. She was still shocked. With so many people around, she could not confess that she had lied, right? Thus, the lady said, "These 6 men asked for rooms. Furthermore, I heard them say that my son is handsome." The sturdy metahuman was confused. What did that have to do with anything? He looked at the people moving about and knew that the cartel wanted to find a reason to beat them up. The cartel was actually very peaceful. But the Black Hand knew that they would not fight them out of their own initiative. It was best that no one caused any trouble on Sardinia. After all, they were just here to help their boss fool around with women. Now, they were scared that they would really be beaten up. He bit the bullet and explained. The metahumans from the cartel did not want to listen to him. They just wanted to beat them up. Suddenly, the members of the Department of Faith Theory realized that they were not being targeted after learning about the entire situation. It was just a conflict between the cartel and the Black Hand. They cleared their throats and said, "The 3 of us are not from the Black Hand. Can we go back?" The people from the cartel were dumbfounded. "You're not from the Black Hand?" Isaac shrugged his shoulders. "If you don't believe me, you can ask them." Everyone's eyes were on the sturdy metahuman. "They are," said the sturdy metahuman with certainty. Isaac was confused. The sturdy metahuman said, "Brother, how can you abandon us? When I go back, I will tell everyone about this." Isaac said, "What the, don't listen to them." Isaac and the rest were in a panic. From Isaac Marino's Distress, +666. From. Lu Shu was dizzy with happiness. No matter whether it was the Department of Faith Theory, the Black Hand, or the cartel, he would earn all the distress points that were produced. He was the cause of all this trouble. The sturdy metahuman thought that they would be beaten up anyway. There may be a twist if they involve the people from the Department of Faith Theory. Otherwise, instead of the 3 of them fighting over 50 people, the 6 of them would fight together. Thus, 3 of them only had to deal with over 20 people. These odds were not bad. Look at this mathematical skill. Knowledge could change your fate. First, it changed the fate of Isaac and the 2 other members of the Department of Faith Theory. The Black Hand was never a compassionate organization. They had extorted and blackmailed others many times. They did not know what shame was. The 2 parties were on the verge of breaking out into conflict. Some people from the cartel even wanted to maintain their demeanor as artists. But an empty beer bottle dropped on the floor and the fight immediately started. After throwing the empty beer bottle, Lu Shu secretly hid in the dark to earn this wave of distress points. He took out 2 or 3 chi fruits from his pocket. His second snowy mountain was almost complete. He could scrape and collapse the mountain to obtain his second sword spirit. After obtaining the sparrow shade, he made fast progress in scraping the snowy mountain. In terms of numbers, Lu Shu had 3 flying swords, but the sparrow shade could split into 36 swords. If the concealed arrow and corpse dog focused on speed, then the sparrow shade focused on quantity. Lu Shu stood in the shadows and was about to eat a chi fruit to settle his snowy mountain once and for all. Suddenly, he felt that something was not right. He turned around and saw Coral gazing at him. When Lu Shu turned around, Coral started to cry. "Why didn't you even call me?" Lu Shu stood blankly. The chi fruit was still in his hand. He suddenly took out 8 refresher fruits from his pocket that he had just exchanged and put them in Coral's hands. "These are good. Have some." Coral was furious. "Answer me. Don't change the subject." Coral had bore so much humiliation. She thought that Lu Shu had given up on her. She had fabricated lies to trick herself. But when she saw Lu Shu, everything fell apart. She wanted to throw all the fruits at Lu Shu, but the soft-hearted Coral did not do so. "Don't ask any more questions. These are really delicious. Hurry up and eat." Lu Shu did not explain what the fruits were. But he felt that magical refresher fruits would be of some help to Coral. Thus, he did not care so much about other affairs right now. He just wanted Coral to hurry up and eat the fruits. Chapter 687, Pure Bloodline. Numbers dominated in the battle. Over 50 members of the cartel surrounded the 6 members from the Department of Faith Theory and the Black Hand. These 6 people could not even launch a counterattack before they were all beat up. But they did not have to worry about their lives. The civilians who were observing the fight also knew that the cartel did not come here to kill people. At most, a testicle would be broken. Beside the exciting fight, Lu Shu and Coral stood face to face. Coral's light green skirt was like the night breeze. Coral did not want to heed Lu Shu's advice to finish the fruits. But she still ate some of the fruits and then cried. What was this? Are we still going to talk? Thus, she was slightly angry. Coral wiped her tears. If you don't want to answer, then so be it. You may not care, but I will still say it. If I never had a place in your world, then I can't blame you either. Coral turned and left after she finished speaking. But the moment she left, Lu Shu suddenly said, "The Department of Faith Theory is watching you. They definitely have some motive. Out of the 6 people being beaten up here, 3 of them are from the Department of Faith Theory. They are staying in the same inn as me. Your hotel is in full view from our rooms. So, be careful." Coral paused, but she did not look back. For some reason, some of her sadness disappeared. It was as if Lu Shu's words gave her something to think about. Coral did not come here because Lu Shu was here, she was just out for a walk. Lu Shu was not disguised as Li Teng either. It was his original appearance. The identity of Li Teng had been destroyed after what happened with Eo. Coral recognized him not because of his looks, but because of his familiar back. She could recognize Lu Shu just by his back. This was like being able to see the person you liked in a crowd. No matter how big the crowd was, you would be able to find that person instantly. This was because you could not forget about that person. Coral returned to the hotel. The deities were about to flare up. How did the Master of Gods suddenly disappear? But when everyone saw Coral return red-eyed, no one spoke a word. Everyone knew why Coral was upset, but they could not do anything. They could not possibly find him in the heavenly network and beat him up, right? They were not afraid that Nie Ting would prevent them from doing so. Everyone knew that Coral would not want to see such a scene. Coral sat in her room. She opened her hands and looked blankly at the refresher fruit that gleamed like crystals. No matter whether it was the refresher fruit, the celestial fruit or the chi fruit, they were very different from ordinary fruits. This was definitely a rare item. Earlier, she did not realize because it was too dark. But looking at the fruits now, her desire to eat the fruits emerged with just one look. Back then, Little Fury, Lu Shu, and Lu Xiaoyu were the same when they saw the refresher fruit. The charm of the refresher fruit was also why Chen Bailey had completely rejected the fruit back then. Coral became happier, as Lu Shu had said that he, the Department of Faith Theory, and the Black Hand were all staying at the inn, which was in the ideal position to watch her hotel. She had completely ignored the Department of Faith Theory and the Black Hand. So why was Lu Shu on Sardinia? Why would Lu Shu stay here? The answer was the main reason why Coral became happy. Lu Shu was protecting her. No matter what others said about Lu Shu, Coral only believed her own judgment, as this was her own personal matter. Coral picked up a refresher fruit and tossed it into her mouth. The fruit quickly melted into a red liquid that flowed to all her limbs and bones. She had never experienced this kind of warmth. Coral had high aptitude. If not, the deities would not pay close attention to her when she was still a Class D. Lu Shu also realized earlier that it was very difficult for an ordinary person to break through the limits of their aptitude, unless they were a genius. Thus, there were no sodium-potassium alloy reactions that were above Class A aptitude. Coral had a natural Class A aptitude. When her blood came into contact with a sodium-potassium alloy, the silver alloy would quickly turn into a pure black. Coral might not know that this was the most generous Lu Shu could be. Lu Shu ate 8 fruits and gave Lu Xiaoyu 8 fruits. He gave Li Xianyi and Chen Bailey 1 fruit each. Li Xianyi and Chen Bailey could break through after eating the fruit as they were just a step away from advancing to Class A, but their broken foundation did not allow them to advance. When their foundation recovered, the power that they had accumulated over decades erupted in an instant. This was the main reason why they had advanced. The refresher fruit did not have that much power. But the deities were special in their own way. The next moment, Coral clearly felt a change in the condition of her body. It was like a river that could suddenly flow without obstruction after being blocked by deposits of sand. The impurities in her body were also expelled outwards. Suddenly, Coral felt as if the limit within her body had started to break. The bloodline that had been awakened expanded. It started to absorb spirit chi from the surroundings to nourish the strong Odin bloodline in Coral's body. The deities were different from the rest due to their bloodline awakening. The impurities in their bloodline restricted their aptitude and abilities. But in that moment, Coral, who was already of Class A aptitude, obtained an even purer Odin bloodline. She realized that the fruits that Lu Shu had given her were much more valuable than she had thought. She could not bear to continue to eat the fruits. What if Lu Shu had given her all the fruits that he had? When the purity of the bloodline continued to increase, the bloodline also influenced the world outside. This was a special group. The blood of gods flowed through their own blood. Coral's abilities grew from a mid-class B to a complete class B, the growth then slowly stopped. After the Gungnir had cracked, it would continuously absorb Coral's power to balance out the danger that the damage posed. After Coral advanced, she obtained even more power that could relieve her of some pressure. Although it was only a temporary solution, but it was good enough. Coral suddenly thought. Did Lushu not contact her because he had gone to find these fruits? He had given her aid of such valuable items without hesitation. Coral was touched and felt that Lushu was very sweet. She decided to leave the rest of the fruits for Lushu. Chapter 688, Exposed. Coral carefully stored the refresher fruits in her own invisible storage equipment and sealed it up. She could not tell anyone about this secret. If others knew that Lushu had this kind of item, it would cause a lot of trouble. Coral believed that many would want this fruit, for example the bishop from the Department of Faith Theory. But why did Lushu not call her to tell her about this? Even a sentence would do. It was as if she had lost all contact with him. Thinking about this, Coral became angry again. Men could not completely understand women. Coral did not throw away the refresher fruits. Lushu heaved a sigh of relief. At least she could eat it later, right? If the refresher fruit was able to relieve her pain, then he would not have to worry so much. Till now, Lushu did not understand how Coral had become what she was now. Was this the after effect of the Odin bloodline? Before long, Lushu felt a massive wave of energy coming from Coral's room. The spirit chi in the surroundings were being drawn in like a whirlpool. All the spirit chi within a kilometer radius was sucked dry. Lushu could feel the massive spout of spirit chi. When he felt this, he knew that Coral had probably eaten the refresher fruit. If not, there would not be such a large disturbance. All the sensory types on the island could probably sense this. The people from the cartel had thoroughly beaten up the people from the Black Hand and the Department of Faith Theory. With 50 people surrounding them, some could not even squeeze in to attack them. As they were being beaten up, they heard the people in the outer circle say, "You have attacked for too long. Let me beat them up too." When they heard this, they fell into a state of despair. After the fight ended, Lushu had earned over 40,000 distress points. Some of the members of the cartel also provided him with distress points when Isaac and the rest hit them. But cartel was a mysterious organization. If it were any other organization, they would just kill their enemies. They would not have to bear a grudge. They would be willing to quarrel openly, or even approach their enemies quietly. But the cartel was different. They came on a grand scale. Once they heard that they were going to beat up the Black Hand, the various acrobatic troops had rushed over. They were a very happy group. After they finished fighting, they realized that the door of the inn was damaged. Some of the cartel members had been fighting at the door. They fished out money from their pockets to compensate for this. The lady refused, but the cartel insisted that they were not people who destroyed the property of others without compensating for it. Was this how the Italians were? Lushu returned to the inn and looked up the Black Hand. He found out that the Black Hand was also a very mysterious group. Black Hand was not their original name. At first, they earned their money by extorting others. They wrote letters and stuffed them in letter boxes, forcing them to put a certain amount of money in the corner postbox by a certain date. There was a knife and a Black Hand at the end of the letter. This was the origin of the Black Hand's name. After this spread among the civilians, Patrick heard about it and felt that the name was not bad. He thus decided to name his organization Black Hand. Later on, someone complained that the Black Hand at the end of the letter was too ugly. Patrick spent a lot of money to hire a designer as he was unable to swallow this insult. When Lushu saw this, he felt that the Black Hand was not worth his attention. The sturdy metahuman, Isaac, and the rest remained on the floor and acted dead. They made sure that all the members of the cartel had left before they struggled to get to their feet and leave. This way, Lu Shu would be the only metahuman left in the inn. Lu Shu felt that this was good. It kept this place clean. As he leisurely went upstairs, Lu Shu wanted to look at the hotel opposite. He saw Coral standing at the window on the third floor looking around, as if she was finding something. Lu Shu thought about Coral's tears earlier and felt slightly afraid. He drew the curtains. Before long, a piece of paper was stuck on the window. It said, "I have seen you. Stop hiding." Lu Shu thought. Did she mean that she could see him? How sharp were her eyes? He looked down at the window, but did not see Coral. It was as if she was hiding behind that piece of paper, happily waiting for his reaction. Suddenly, Lu Shu realized that there were many mysterious distress points recorded in his system's back end. There were 100 or 200 names, perhaps even more. To his surprise, Lu Shu even found Francesco's name. What's happening? Lu Shu was dumbfounded. Did Isaac and the rest report this so quickly? Little did he know that when Coral pasted this piece of paper, the people from the organizations who were watching her all thought that Coral was referring to them. While Coral was playing an interesting game with Lu Shu, those who had been watching Coral took action. They had to switch location. How were they exposed so easily? Some did not take action. They wanted to see whether the deities were tricking them. Francesco hid behind the window and drew the curtains, then stared at that piece of paper. Another piece of paper was stuck on the window. There is no use drawing the curtains. From Francesco Russo's Distress, plus 666. Francesco took a deep breath. He turned around and said, "We have to switch location." Was there such a coincidence in this world? Her words were too specific. Have our intentions been exposed? Someone asked. Most likely not. Francesco shook his head. Although they have found out that we have been watching them, they probably do not know what we want to do. After all, many organizations are ready to take action. We can hide among these organizations. She would think that everyone had their eyes on the World Tree, when we are really aiming for her. What if she knows? Sardinia is only so big. Francesco laughed coldly. Once our manpower arrives, where can she run to? He looked back at the window with 2 pieces of paper. He was about to lead the rest to leave, but he saw another piece of paper stuck on the window. Fool. From Francesco Russo's Distress, plus 999. This was too much. He, Francesco, had never been insulted like this. But Francesco felt that something was not right. Fool. Why did it sound like a young girl's words? When old men fought, they would be very rude. Who would use words like fool and idiot? But Francesco felt that he was being insulted greatly in this environment. From Francesco Russo's Distress, plus 999. Chapter 689, Midnight Murder. Lu Shu did not know what had happened either. He was earning a flurry of distress points. Furthermore, Francesco's distress points stood out to him. What had happened? He had not become irritable after that fight, right? In just a short period of time, Francesco had provided him with a few chi fruits. He looked at the pieces of paper that Coral had stuck to the window. They may have seen the pieces of paper as well. Lu Shu felt odd. This was his first time encountering such a situation. He was slightly flustered. Lu Shu stood at the window and gazed at the night sky for a long time. He did not know what he was doing either. After 1 hour, a new piece of paper was stuck on the window. Good night. Lu Shu suddenly realized that he had waited here for an hour as if he was waiting for something. He laid down on his bed. He put his arms behind his head. He could not help but think that Coral, like him, probably did not have an easy childhood. She was born to an illustrious family in the deities. Unlike Lu Shu, many people fixed their eyes upon her the moment she was born. She was destined to lose a lot of fun and many friends. Coral had placed all the letters that she had written to him into a metal box and gave it to him. Thus, he could understand Coral a bit better. She did not have the chance to ride a bicycle home after school with her friends. She did not have the chance to stroll through a boulevard full of fallen leaves. She walked into the magically rich era without experiencing all these and became the master of gods. Lu Shu pondered. He did not know whether Coral's problem had been solved. As he thought about this, the scraping of the snowy mountain did not stop. Yu Mingyu sent a message. Are your surroundings safe? We have to tell you something urgently. Lu Shu replied, safe. A call came from Yu Mingyu. It seems like the organizations that were watching Coral have moved. I don't know what happened, but you have to be careful amidst this chaos. Lu Shu opened his mouth and wanted to say something. Then he remembered what had happened just now. He remained silent. Yu Mingyu said, not only does the Department of Faith Theory have their eye on Coral, many organizations have joined in as well. To them, there is not only one world tree on Sardinia. There are two. When Lu Shu heard about this, he grew upset. One of the world trees was being sold by an European aristocrat. The other was the Gungner that belonged to Coral. The world tree was very attractive. It was like the treasure of heaven and earth in Wuxia 1 novels. It was equivalent to an artifact that allowed someone to be able to obtain abilities that could only be obtained after decades of training. In ancient books and records, and even in novels, the world tree had always been a topic in myths. It was the origin of a world. Which organizations have had their eye on Coral? Lu Shu laughed coldly. Why are you so angry? Yu Mingyu was dumbfounded. He did not quite know what was going on. Can you answer my question and not avoid it? Lu Shu awkwardly changed the subject. The Danki from Germany, the Reiche from Iceland and the Pledge from England have set off, said Yu Mingyu. We don't have to worry too much about the organization from England. The Pledge was badly defeated by Heavenly King Li back at the Kochang Island remains. There are no experts in Iceland either. But you should be careful of the Danki. Lu Shu thought about it. Tell me the details. He wanted to know more about the organizations that had their eye on Coral. These organizations had probably received some information that there were more than one organization who were targeting the deities. Thus, they probably came to see if they could benefit from it. Furthermore, the deities were sworn enemies with the Danki. The Danki felt that ordinary people should become the slaves of metahumans. But the deities were even better. They threatened the Danki every day. Not many members of the Danki have come, but their leader has come along as well. You have to be careful of their Satan. He is very powerful. Yu Mingyu emphasized, he is only one step away from Class A. Lu Shu was dumbfounded. 3 eggs too, sounds better than just one. Yu Mingyu was confused. What are you talking about? Why do I feel that we are not on the same path? But Yu Mingyu was not normal either. Yu Mingyu then became speechless. He did not know how Lu Shu's thought process was like, but nonetheless, he was amazed and shocked. From Yu Mingyu's distress, plus 666. Ahem. Lu Shu suddenly realized that he might have misunderstood what Yu Mingyu had said. Anything else? According to reliable information, Coral's abilities may have advanced due to a special circumstance, but we cannot determine exactly how much she had advanced. Can you tell me something I don't know? Lu Shu was dumbfounded. He suddenly thought of something. The effects of the refresher fruit were amazing. Could he make an issue out of this? He would definitely not sell the fruits in his entire lifetime. To Lu Shu, the refresher fruit was worth more than money. If he could exchange the fruits for a strong mythical object, he would still consider. But there had to be a suitable moment before he was willing to do so. If not, when everyone knew that Lu Shu had an inexhaustible supply of refresher fruits, the entire world would go crazy. In terms of practicality, Lu Shu felt that it was just as attractive to experts as the world tree. At that moment, it was as if the entire world had its eyes on this small island. Another incident that would shake the entire realm of cultivation would probably occur. The team will arrive in 6 days. Be prepared to receive them. Don't get into any accidents before that. If your identity is exposed, you may retreat. After Yu Mingyu finished speaking, he hung up the phone. Lu Shu got up and sat at the side of the bed. The piece of paper with "Good night" written on it was still there. Coral did not mind letting the whole world know about her feelings. But these 4 pieces of paper was a secret that the two of them shared. "Good night," said Lu Shu. He wished for this world to be just a little more fair, so that Coral would not have to face things that she should not face so early. Suddenly, Lu Shu sensed an eruption of energy. It was as if a war was happening far away. The wave of energy was like a siren that slowly spread in the silence of the night. Lu Shu could not understand. Why did they have to fight every day? From. When Lu Shu saw the distress points, he was dumbfounded. It was too much of a coincidence. Did you have to involve me in your conflict? He did not know that this fight had occurred as there was a conflict between organizations while they changed their surveillance spot. Whoever wanted a better spot would have to fight for it. A girl's mood had caused a murder. Lu Shu did not know how the large organizations would react when they found out about the truth. Chapter 690, Small World. The situation on the island had become increasingly complicated, especially when Lu Shu learned that 3 more organizations were coming for the World Tree. The next morning, a member of the deities rushed out in a hurry and soon returned to Coral with a container made of sodium-potassium alloy in his hands. After some consideration, Coral asked, "Can you be sure that no one knows its whereabouts?" "Yes. Your uncle took it out of the Holy Palace last night." No one was alarmed, Coral's cousin replied. "Coral, with regard to your aptitude." "Sorry. I don't want to answer that," Coral said with a genuine look on her face. She had to hide the truth, yet she did not want to lie. After her cousin went out, Coral opened the container quietly. She dripped a drop of her blood on the silver alloy, which immediately turned black. Coral waited for a while but nothing else happened. Just when she was about to put the alloy back, a faint flash of lightning struck through the blackness. There it was. Coral could finally confirm that her bloodline had become even purer due to the fruit. In layman's terms, her aptitude might have made a breakthrough from Class A to even higher. Based on this, the significance of such fruits was apparent. Yet, Lu Shu had given her 8 in one go. She had to return the remaining 7 to him. Coral sat beside the window and gazed out blankly, resting her chin on her hands. Coral's cousin was blocked once he exited from Coral's room. The person informed him, "The Master of Gods is in a good mood today." This morning, she actually ate 2 fried eggs, 2 cups of milk and 4 croissants for breakfast. She even asked the chef whether he could teach her the cooking of Chinese cuisines. Her appetite has improved so much. Right. She's seemingly happier after she went out last night. I guess it's good for her to go out after being trapped in the palace for too long. Her cousin speculated. "Do you think that boy is here too?" the person asked carefully. "Are you saying her mood swings and her sudden ascension are both related to that guy?" "You said it." "I didn't." The man shifted the blame and walked away at once. Although it was only a guess, Coral's cousin believed that it was totally possible. If that was the case, Coral's sudden request for the sodium-potassium alloy would make more sense too. Her aptitude must have improved through certain means. This was a huge secret. Coral's cousin went quiet. He had to inform Coral's uncle and make sure the secret was safe. In the meantime, the entire deities, including Coral, were still unaware of the unrest outside resulting from the 4 pieces of paper from her. In any case, they were a peace-loving organization isolated from the outside world. It was already too late when they wanted to build an intelligence network the previous year. At this moment, Coral suddenly heard a crack. She knew that her ascension did not heal the crack on the Gungnir. Instead, the split was still spreading. Coral did not take the Gungnir out for inspection. She sat still beside the window, thinking about something. She was well aware that her life would have come to an end when the Gungnir broke. Maybe the meaning of life was not determined by its length after all. But Coral soon got over the thought. She started anticipating her next encounter with Lu Shu. Europe was not that vast of a continent. Hence, it would only take one night for the Denki and the pledge to arrive in Sardinia. Lu Shu wondered whether he could persuade Coral to leave this dangerous place. Nonetheless, he also was not sure how much they desired the world tree. Lu Shu went out for lunch. He also wanted to try out the local dishes. But suckling pigs were really not to his taste. In the end, he chose a spaghetti restaurant. Lu Shu stopped short in shock as soon as he entered the door. But he recovered quickly and continued walking forward as if nothing had happened. He could not walk off just like that, because it would be too suspicious. Lu Shu had been thinking about getting rid of his reliance on the mask after the incident last time, when he almost got killed by acting as Howard. He was a man who was good at self-reflection. He had become more careful ever since his casual usage of the mask inadvertently landed himself in danger. This piece of relic was one of his most powerful trump cards. Hence, it would be best if he could keep it a secret. But at this instant, Lu Shu was a tad regretful for not changing his appearance. There were 10 diners at the restaurant, all dressed in red uniform. Their attire looked so familiar. The Pledge. The organization that ordered a huge bunch of secret practitioners to dig broken magical weapons for them at the Kochang Island, and whose fruits of labor were all stolen away by Lu Shu. Afterwards, the 4 Class C members of the Pledge who managed to escape also bumped into Li Yixiao. There were too many secret practitioners as witnesses. Although there were no photos or video recordings taken of Lu Shu, he knew very well that the Pledge had tried to track him down by investigating those secret practitioners present. They had even tried to recover Lu Shu's appearance based on the witnesses' memories. In the end, the Class B expert verified that the portrait matched with the young man he had met. However, they probably did not know his exact look. Even the Nojoa family did not post his photo when they ordered for his arrest. They only knew his name. This was all thanks to the timely intervention from the Heavenly Network of All Intelligence regarding his identity. As the sole person in charge of the matter, Zhong Yutong had reacted fast. It was also that time when Nie Ting gave the permission to raise Lu Shu's confidential order to that of a heavenly king's. It was also then when Nie Ting wanted Lu Shu to become a heavenly king. After Lu Shu ordered his food, he sat in a corner seat quietly. At this moment, a member of the Pledge suddenly stared at him. Lu Shu prayed in his heart that he would not be recognized, for the sake of the man's safety. "Hey, why do I find you familiar?" one of the members of the Pledge asked and sat opposite to Lu Shu. Lu Shu paused for 2 seconds and replied, "Reorganize your sentence." From Corey Irving's Distress, plus 166. He was so mean.
What does it mean to be happy? 'Cause it looks like we all don't know. Glass half full or empty, man, we just putting on a show. Try to look to the heavens.